Okay, here's what we did to tweak this unit out to get that ball to go in there so cleanly. On this particular unit, we took enough shims out of the lower support down here to get the ball lift at the right angle. And if you notice, a little bit of thread showing. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like that on every machine. The best thing to do is before you put all your belts on and hook everything up is just drop the ball lift in there, put a ball in and see where you're at. For every 1/4 inch that you want to pull the pulley back to give the ball some clearance, you take one washer out down here, and it's going to bring this whole pulley to the rear of the machine about a 1/4 inch. And then what you do is, let me move the camera a little bit, the rubber stop over here that you would adjust the height with, you could adjust your height up and down to get your clearance over top of the ball and get the exact angle on the ball lift that you need that way. These are our new links. There's no flex in these links at all. So like when the ball's rolling up and if the belt happens to cock to one side, because the ball lift's maybe not centered right or something, the whole ball lift isn't going to move. These things are too stiff, so you won't get belts popping off and things like that if you put these links on. You're not going to get belts popping off any more than you would with a humpback, than you would with a kicker or a PBL, but you know, it's possible on those units, it's possible on these. Anytime this belt twists or cocks to one side and the ball's rolling up, it's going to walk off the pulley, or try to. And once the belt cocks a little bit, the pressure, the downward spring pressure on the ball lift, it's going to flex the whole ball lift one way or the other, depending on which way this is twisted. Well, these new links will prevent that. Take note of the shock absorber. Let me move the camera. The nut is pretty much up to the top. There's a little bit of thread shown, and the bracket's upwards, and the shock is on the number 2 side. So that's where you want it. If you put offset shafts in, which you're probably going to need if your machines are off just a little bit, you're going to need offset shafts with this type of link because you're not going to flex to get into the machine. Most likely you have enough clearance between machine and machine where you could put one offset shaft in from the opposite direction that the shock is on. This way you have access to the nuts. And the lower offset shaft that goes on this link on the bottom, put it in from the other way. And this way it's easier to line the ball lift up. Another thing that's going to happen when you adjust this lower support down here, when you bring that bottom pulley of the ball lift towards the rear of the machine a little bit, you're going to be able to lower your ball lift with your bumper over here on the side, right here. And when you lower it, the whole ball lift is going to get closer to the up rails, and you're going to get more pressure on the ball. So before you make final adjustments on anything, just drop the ball lift in before you put any belts on. Make your adjustments with your lower support and your Christmas tree height adjuster right here, and you can see exactly where you got to put the ball lift. I mean, there is no guesswork. Either the ball clears and goes in, or it doesn't, and you make your adjustments. Then put your belts on, tighten everything down, and you're all set. Okay, once you put your ball lift in, you're going to want some spring tension pushing down on it. These springs right here, these are your old kicker springs. There's a chain assembly which comes to the unit. Just hook it up to your center bracket, run the chain back, and there's these links that get bolted to the machine. You have, on an 8230 machine, you have existing bolt holes. That's where your trouble light system used to be. We've got an extra bracket on here for something else, but the upper set of bolt holes will be fine. And you just run your springs back, and that'll push the tension of the ball lift down. And that's what you want to do with that spring assembly. On an 8270 machine, you've got an existing bolt right here. What you could do is just take that out and forget these 1/4 inch bolts. They're good for like the 8230 machine. You could use these 1/4 inch bolts. But if you got an 8270, just take that bolt out, use the washer, put it on there, and then you have a place to hook your springs. And that's where they go on this machine. The only other thing I want to show you is our paddle. This is our red wing. and we've got a new paddle out now. It's a blue wing. The red wing, the difference between the two is the red wing's got some flexibility to it, and I kind of like the red wing for that reason. This way, if the ball's going in, and if you have a spring shock on there, which gives a good amount of pressure, and the ball's on its way up, the paddle will flex some to let the ball go by. If you've got a wider machine or a normal machine, leave these red pieces on because they're kind of beveled out here, and it'll give a little more area for it to hit the pin out. If you've got a narrow machine, take these red pieces off, and the paddle is concave, so the ball will center easier. The only difference between the red one and the blue one is the blue one's real stiff. It's kind of like the original equipment stuff. Some people like that, and if you've got light ball sensors, it's a good paddle to have. If you get a pin jam with a pin inside the exit, and it's situated like this, and the paddle comes over, it's actually the rudder arm which is hitting the head of the pin out of the exit. If you take too much pressure to knock it out usually, but if you get into a paradox where the pin gets stuck there and it won't hit the paddle won't hit the pin out, and it kind of the head of the pin kind of wedges between the ring here and the paddle. What you need to do is just shim your paddle down a little bit. Okay, on this particular machine here's your cross members holding in your whole rudder assembly. We put washers in here, and that pitches the paddle down a little bit. And then what happens is if you're getting a pin in there, it's a little hard to knock out. The rudder arm is lower, and it'll come up under the head of the pin and just push it out like a cow plow real easily. So you might have to put some shims back there. Take note when you put your paddle on. And you may have to move your rudder arm either front or back so that your paddle clears. But you want the paddle back as far as you can get it where the lip is still missing the brackets, but you get it low enough where it's going to hit the pin out properly. So you might have to shim it a little here.